Hey, Geeky Vengeance. It's the voice here. It's the voice of Geeky Vengeance. And I'm here. I'm so super fangirling right now because I went to Mississippi Comic Con. I found Scout Comics. And then the first comic I have ever bought myself reached my hands. And it's by the wonderful and amazing and the coolest
Brenton Lengel.
I like to let people introduce themselves.
Well, that's good because honestly, usually when people first start talking to me, they always screw up my name the first time. So it's like I'll say Brent, and they'll say Brad, and then I'll say no, Brenton, and they'll say Brandon, and I'll say.
Just don't call me late for dinner at this point. We'll be fine. All right, so tell me a little bit about yourself, because I'm telling you right now, I'm fangirling a little bit. When you emailed me, I was like, oh, really? Hi. I have your comic. I had just got finished reading it and just told my team about it. And I'm like, guys, you really, really got to read this so I can fangirl more. And I can't give anything away because nobody has read it yet.
That's so exciting. Yeah. So basically, I am a playwright and comic creator. Ringo, two-time Ringo nominated comic creator, actually. For the issue that you have. Yeah, creator of Snow White Zombie Apocalypse. This story started out as a play in New York in 2010. Actually, I wrote it for a 24-hour play competition. So basically what happens is like a theater send out a prompt, and the idea is you use that prompt, the writer writes a 10-minute play, and then it actually gets like produced and put on for like a festival of these things, all within 24 hours. So it's a crazy like charge. And a lot of the time the plays in these are, because they're written so quickly, they're not quite so good, but this one, like lightning just struck. And I wrote the events of the very first comic, which is a double issue. It's 44 pages. I wrote that literally in an evening, and it pretty much remained exactly, for the most part, exactly as it is in the form that you've gotten it. People came up to me and they were like, oh my God, this is such a great play. It reads like something that someone who went to Yale wrote. And I was like, oh, well, tell Yale about that, because they rejected me.
They don't know what they're missing. No.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the play got its first full production in the Estrogenius Festival, a celebration of women's voices. I think someone saw me from behind and thought I was a chick. And
it's the long hair. It's okay.
Absolutely. And that production was actually really incredible. And fun fact, in this issue, two of the characters are well, actually three of the characters are based directly on the original actors and actresses who played in that. The Prince Charming actually looks almost exactly like my friend Adam Lafacci, who was the first person to play Prince Charming. Yeah, so that's just one of those fun little Easter eggs that a lot of people probably won't get unless you're familiar with the production history. Rapunzel looks a lot like Parker Leventer, who played Rapunzel in the play. So anyway, that did really, really well. And then we won the Audience Choice Awards. We got an extended run. It was also brought back for the New York Innovative Theater. We were nominated for a New York Innovative Theater Award for Best Original Script. We also, I took it and in 2012 expanded it into a 2-hour play called Snow White Zombie Apocalypse. And that's where we're going to get with the title, because originally it was just Snow White Zombie, as in white zombie. But then to delineate it, the 2-hour play from the 10-minute play, it became Snow White Zombie : Apocalypse. And then when it finally became a comic, I was just like, you know what? Just get rid of the colon. It'll just be Snow White Zombie Apocalypse.
Okay, so at no time it was Snow White and the Zombie Apocalypse?
At no time. So whoever programmed it into the Scout site added the "and the" to it. And for that's been dogging me for years.
It's just following you around in the back. Like at a convention, if I ever see you, I'm just gonna be Snow White, and then I'm gonna put awesome. The "and the" across me and have my zombies behind me, because that would be hilarious.
That would be absolutely hilarious. Yeah. I mean, and that's actually, it's interesting that you mentioned
So conventions, yes.
Yeah. So the interesting thing about that is that the reason this book is published by Scout is conventions. I had taken the original cover and the first 7 black and white pages, along with the rest of my pitch packet to New York Comic-Con in 2015. And I was, pitching every company I could find. I got some good responses from people, some totally ignored me. But when I got to the Scout table, I just saw some artists sitting there drawing. And I walked up and was like, hey, so are you guys like a comic company? And they're like, yeah, we're Scout. And I'd heard a little bit about Scout at this point, but I was like, oh, that's really cool. And so I was like, you want to take a look at this? And they opened the folder and just were like immediately, I'm very lucky that my artist Count Park is phenomenal, because they were just immediately like, oh my God, this is so good. We've got to tell our boss. I'm like, oh, you're going to tell your boss? And they ran and got Brenton, the CEO of Scout, in, and Brendan took one look at the book and was just like, I want it. And we talked, and then for a little bit, there was a little bit of negotiation over the next few weeks, but eventually I decided that, Scout was absolutely the place to be for this, and because, they were so passionate about the story. The rest is history. Eventually the book got created and we released in 2019 in October.
Oh wow! So it's still a baby in comic book standards. Mm-hmm. But one thing I loved about Scout, so we were there. It was our first convention as like a fan group, and I had just been kicking off my podcast, and I had my photographer going around because we didn't plan this very well. I was the only person at our booth, and he's like, I told him, I go see if anybody is okay at the end of convention for some interviews, and he's like, yeah. And I had been scouting out Scout for like since I got there, and they were like so friendly. Andre was mm-hmm. like the sweetest. He's like, yeah, come back here, let's talk. And we had like a good 45-minute conversation. Then I had to whittle down to 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't know how I did it, but yeah, I could see what you're saying. Like that is a very friendly group of people. And then I noticed the first time when I walked by the table, like he goes, we have this, and this. He's like, but you're gonna love this. And I'm like, what have you got? Tell me. And he handed me Snow White, and I was like, oh. I'm like, you've read me well, sir. I'm like, I really want this. I can't get it to the end of the convention. I didn't want a bunch of like stuff hanging out on my table because people at conventions like to pick up and take stuff from fan tables. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, I will be back at the end of the convention and I want this. And it was the first comic book that I had bought for myself ever, because mm-hmm. every other comic book, I was not a big comic book nerd. Mm-hmm. Not really at all. I knew about it because I would always steal it from my boyfriends or my exes or my friends. I'd be like, I don't want to spend this much on comic books. And then, when that one reached my hand, I'm like, yep, this is going to be the first one I ever buy for myself. And I'm like, okay. And then I remember having my picture taken with it. He's like, I'm sending this to the author right now. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, I have to go home and read it now. God, it was just going to sit there forever, like the 30 million other books that I have. Mm-hmm. And I remember getting home from convention. I was dead dog tired. And I pulled it out of my big suitcase that I keep all my con stuff in. And I open it up, and the first thing you see, I'm going to kind of pop it out here, is, so you don't see everything, this, her mm-hmm. holding that apple. And I'm like, oh, okay. I'm like, we're sticking with some of the original here, but it's kind of far from the original. Like the Grimm's fairy tales, what we've grown up with Disney. And I was like, I'm sold. And then you emailed me and I was like, oh my God, guys. I messaged my team. I took a screenshot and I messaged him. I go, he messaged me. Fangirl. I'm like, what do I write back? And they're like, just be chill. And I'm like, all right, I'm gonna chill. And then
I recall you were pretty chill in the response, so well yes. done. Yeah.
So now I was a complete wreck, and but I was really enthralled by the story, mm-hmm. and So yeah, definitely when you message me and you're like, hi, I'm the writer, I'm like, oh, okay, we can talk, I swear. And I've been looking forward to this ever since.
Awesome. Yeah, well, I've definitely been looking forward to it. It means the world to me when somebody encounters something that I've written that means something to them. Like that's why I do what I do. So so thank you very much for your passion, for really enjoying and connecting with the story. Yeah, I mean, as far as the book goes, without too many spoilers or anything, the concept for those who've not seen it is Snow White awakens to Prince Charming's kiss 28 days after the zombie apocalypse. So
28 days.
yeah. By the way, I'm a huge fan of internal references and six-person jokes. I learned that from The Simpsons. So there are a lot of references in this. There's also a lot of stuff in the book that there's some hidden stuff in the book that only I am going to get. I'm pretty sure, like only me and like 3 other people.
So those inside jokes with other friends made it into your comic. I always love that, because then eventually, like if we ever meet at a convention, I can be like, all right, I don't understand. Like it goes with the story, but I think there's something deeper here. Explain.
Exactly. And I can either explain that or maybe I'll make something up.
And you know what? That is the writer's prerogative.
Well, you know, so yeah, so the story, it encompasses the first 10-minute play and the martial arts at the beginning, like because the first half of this is like pure action almost. And that actually comes from the fact that when we first created the play, the director, Lita Tremblay, excellent director, told me, she's like, well, we've got 20 minutes for the Estro Festival and you've written a 10-minute play. Can we do a fight scene at the beginning? And I had seen a lot of really bad fight scenes. And, you know, between you and me, I'm a black belt in Kyokushin karate. And so like,
I know, don't take my lunch money.
oh, yeah. So like, I was just like, you know, I really don't like stage combat a lot of the time. It's usually really bad. We'll do it, but I'll tell you what, I reserve the right to cut it if it sucks. And then we looked and tried to find someone to choreograph the fight, and we couldn't. And so me and my roommate, who had also been in karate with me in high school, the two of us got together and got like this huge stage combat routine that was much more realistic than what a lot of people were used to seeing even on the New York stage. And so like I still remember like early on when my roommate actually played the big bad wolf, when he went charging on stage after Rapunzel, like she literally threw him over her shoulder. And when he hit the ground, like you could, there were like everybody in the audience was just like, boom, glued to it. And so one of the big things that came to me with the book is that, you know, it's a mashup. So you've got the fairy tale aspect, but you also have it fused with 70s kung fu and also a lot of dark fantasy elements, because I'm a huge fantasy nerd. You can see they've got 2 gargoyles behind me.
Lies, total lies. I see nothing.
Yeah. And a copy of American Gods and the full set of Lord of the Rings.
You're not a nerd at all. I don't know why I'm even talking to you right now. But yeah, I mean, okay, one thing I want to know, is it optional that would you let other people perform your play?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If a theater company wants to perform Snow White Zombie in its short or full-length form, all they have to do is contact me. There have been a few revivals of it in college productions since the original Fringe Festival play in 2012 and the original Estro. Yeah, all you got to do is email me, and you know we'll work out something. I understand that a lot of theater places work on a budget, so I'm willing to work with anybody who is interested in putting this on.
Hey, you hear that, team? You may have a Snow White in your future. You know, I love zombies. Okay, so one of the reasons like I really clutch this, not just for the, you know, the princes and the princesses and I'm a huge zombie nerd. You know, Train to Busan, the first few seasons of The Walking Dead, Black Summer, if they could get their stuff together. I would really like your show, but the whole way you tell your story hurts my brain. But I love zombies. I can't wait to be a zombie at this point, because
Well, the way the world is going, that's entirely possible.
Absolutely.
That could, I would not be surprised. 2025 zombie apocalypse. So
I don't know if I want to be a survivor or a zombie. The choices. Depends on my cast of characters. I guess that's what we'll say.
And it would also depend on like the type of zombies that you have, because like the Snow White zombies are very different from a lot of what people would encounter. Like the reason they do karate, honestly, is because I thought it would be very boring on stage to have slow zombies, even though I like slow zombies better than fast zombies. But also there's it gets hinted at. One of the unique things that Swaza does with zombies is that there's a sire system. So this is sort of Walking Dead rules in you don't have to be bitten by a zombie to become a zombie. The bite just kills you. And if you die for any reason, you will be raised as a zombie as long as your brain is intact. But if you are bitten by a zombie, that zombie, you will begin to take on traits of that zombie. So if you're bitten by the zombie big bad wolf, you will start to become wolf-like and join his pack, and you're essentially a half human, half transformed wolf zombie hybrid.
So to kind of like lay that out, it would be like the Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead zombies, where you kind of have a hierarchy system and like you can get the special traits.
Yeah, gotcha. Basically. So like, yeah, if you're bitten by a wolf zombie, you become wolf-like and you join his pack. If you're bitten by a magical zombie, you may gain magic powers and retain bits of your personality that you wouldn't otherwise retain. If you're bitten by a giant zombie, no one knows what happens, because usually if you get bitten by that, you're gone.
You just explode.
No one has been bitten by a giant zombie and survived. We'll put it at that.
I need to know more.
Oh yeah. Well, and that's where we'll get into it with the rest of the continuation of the series, because yeah, as you can see, that's not the only book.
I know. I need them. So, help a girl out. Yeah. So anybody can order these through the Scout Comics website, of course.
Well, you can order the first issue through Scout. Right now, the only place to get the other issues, unless you're part of like unless you're around one of the comic stores that I have had personal interaction with and sent it to, and there's like 2 at this point. You need to actually go through me or the Kickstarter to get these issues, because
I'm waiting on that Kickstarter.
Perfect.
Waiting on it. Which, speaking of, you're doing a Kickstarter for what, book 5?
So the Kickstarter for book 4 is running now. It has, I can tell you exactly, let me pull up my little app here. So at the moment, for the funding of book 4, we have like 60, we have 2 days left to go, like 64 hours or something. We're up to 380 backers and $16,657 to go towards the series.
I'm like tier 3 right there.
Perfect.
I was like, I need those books.
Yep.
And
you can get all of these.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of other perks, right?
Like, yeah, there's a ton of other perks. You can actually get 2 of my favorite additional ones, like, because we've got stickers, we've got tarot cards, and one of these days I'm going to do an entire tarot deck. We've also got this. This is the Snow White zombie pin. It's an enamel pin you can get, and this is actually the original logo of the series. And I don't know if you can see on here.
Oh,
but
yes.
There is a brain that is also an apple with a skull. A screaming skull, like made out of the brain matter.
That's so nice.
We also have an official coin from Prince Charming's kingdom, featuring Prince Charming's father, the blood-covered king, who appears in the prequels. And I don't know if you can tell, but half of a pissed off peasant has gotten a hold of this coin and like carved into it, and they carved the side of his face as a skull.
Ooh, that's some angry peasantry.
Oh yeah. So there's also, there's a prequel series called Reign of the Blood-Covered King that is being released as ash cans. On the back, by the way, here of the coin, that's the official seal of the kingdom, which has a ton of fairy tale references on it. This actually references the brave little tailor, who another character we entered is based on him. A little bit of H.P. Lovecraft, and the motto on the front is Latin. It's Regius Carnem Sanguinis, royal flesh, royal blood. And on the back, it's Omnes Una Manet Nox, which is the real world equivalent of Valar Morghulis. It is one night awaits us all. So, you know.
If you can't tell, I'm a huge Lovecraft fan. If you can't tell, my
beautiful.
pillow Thu, I actually had a friend of mine design him for me so I could take him to conventions so I could have, you know, the ultimate dark to cuddle.
That's so cool. Yeah, the seal of the kingdom is an evil unicorn, a monstrous boar, and then on the shield there is a raven with tentacle legs.
Aww, it's just a nice happy family. I'm all about the evil unicorn. I really think that's my spirit animal.
Oh yeah. Well, and you know, again, that's the brave little tale or fairy tale. So, and that's one of the things that I do with the thing is I twist the fairy tales, but I have them all sort of. There is essentially the Swaza extended universe, and so like it's all of these fairy tales that were basically on their normal course until the zombie apocalypse, which you'll find out more. The second issue here, and this is the Silverbacks variant, that is Rapunzel squaring off against the a jolly green giant.
It's so pretty.
Yeah, Brian Silverbacks he's the only artist so far who has done a variant cover for every single issue. So there's like the whole Silverbacks variant collection that can be got on the Kickstarter. This starts immediately after the events of issue 1 and introduces a new hero by the name of the Woodsman, and he is badass. And I won't say much except he and Rapunzel get into a fist fight. And he may be one of the only people who can take or possibly beat Rapunzel. Yeah. And then, of course, we have issue 3. Issue 3 takes up at the end of issue 2, where our heroes are driven deeper into the forest by the wolf pack and find themselves taking shelter in an abandoned cabin in the woods that is constructed entirely of gingerbread.
Okay, I need these now. Maybe I can't wait for the Kickstarter anymore to end.
Well, you can just grab them. If you pledge to the Kickstarter, you can just grab them. I'll send them to you right away.
Okay, yeah, like, because I've read this comic 3 times now. Once after I got it, once after you emailed me, and then once right before. So, like, you know, I'm like, I don't accidentally give something away. And I was like, oh, I need them. And now that I know that I can just be like, what's up?
I'll tell you what, yeah, since we're doing this, since you know me, all you got to do is pledge at least at the book level. And what I'll do is I will send you the Snow White Zombie number 2 and 3 for free ahead of time. And that way you don't have to wait on them. And then I'll send you the number 4 as soon as it's ready, which should be on or before September.
Awesome. Oh, I'm so excited. It's so nice to be nice to people.
Yeah.
All right. So we've learned about your Kickstarter. We've learned about you. We've learned that there's a Snow White zombie apocalypse play that I need to know more of. Is there a way I can get like a video of anybody who's done this play?
So I do have a video of it, of the original one, and funnily enough, it is actually one in which I had to play the Woodsman. It's not great, you know, in terms of like, you know, like this is a fringe production, and I literally, my actor got called away to work on House of Cards. And he couldn't make the performance, and it was a sold out performance, like a 200-seat theater, I think. And like, so I had to learn the lines that I had already written and all of the choreography that luckily I had already worked on a little bit, fit into the costume and do like the play. And the funny thing is, if you watch it, because I am going to be making it public soon, I guess. And I might be able to send that to you privately. But if you watch it, you can tell I'm completely out of breath after the first fight with Rapunzel. And I'm sitting there and I'm just like, I did not take into account the fact that my actors would get tired from the fight and didn't leave enough time. So there's like a bit where I'm just barely on the edge of being able to deliver the lines.
But those are usually the best plays. Like, you know that the actors know their things, and you know that you know your thing, and you kind of just hope in a prayer and holding on to your seat and just making it happen. I was a theater nerd for years. Like, that's what I did all through high school. And most of what got us through is caffeine and angst. And kind of knowing our stuff, and then by production night we were able to pull it off. And God, theater's a whole different beast.
I love that you're into theater, because that's, again, that's where I started as a writer. I am a playwright in New York for the past 10 years. I've had 7 plays produced in Manhattan. And Swaza is probably one of my favorites. And I think it's very interesting that I, kind of use the archetype of the zombie in this play, because out of all of my work, this is the one that just won't stay dead.
Well, now that I know about it and I have your email address, I'm just be like, so after book 4, we have a 5, 6, 7, and 8 happening. Yeah, okay.
Oh yeah. In fact, I'll give you, this is a semi-exclusive. I dropped the beans on this in another interview as well recently. So one of the things that I'm doing with this book is I'm changing artists. The artist for 2 through 4 is actually not Hyando Park, who did the art for the first one. It's Luana Vecchio. She's incredible, works with Image Comics. So Luana's run goes from issue 2 to issue 4. 4 hits about the halfway point in the play, at which point I am switching, and we now have, as the artist that we've got working is Adam Bryce Thomas, who does the art for IDW's Sonic the Hedgehog and Samurai Jack.
I know those!
Oh, great!
I know
them!
I don't own a lot of my own comic books. I'm just going to say this. And I don't, but I do a lot of research on, stuff that's happening in the world. Cause if I geek, I have to be able to pull the geek card when I can. But no, like you just said his name. I was like, oh, I know him.
He's a great guy. He's an incredible artist. And his run that he's doing is heavily inspired by Berserk. So it also deals with some Scandinavian folklore. I'm pulling in from the Norse sagas, and we are introducing a new antagonist, which is from the saga of Hrolf Kraki and his 12 berserker bodyguards.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I'm excited.
The antagonist, by the way, if you're not familiar, because it's a very obscure fairy tale, semi-historical, is Queen Scold half Elven, which is Rolf Kraki's half sister, who is a witch who raises the dead.
Yeah, I study a lot of Norse mythology. Mainly because I like Thor and Loki, and it kind of got me down that rabbit hole. The rabbit hole that Marvel has started for us all. But now I'm really excited because you don't actually see a lot of tellings of that in general.
Yeah,
so it's going to be definitely new and fresh.
Yeah, well, and that's the cool thing that I love about Swaza is, it's one of those series where I can pretty much, as long as I can find the folkloric basis, and it falls into what I would broadly consider fairy tales, I can have the series go anywhere and do pretty much anything. At the moment, we're pulling from Jack the Giant Killer, we're pulling from, Jack and the Beanstalk, The Brave Little Tailor. There's stuff pulled from the Juniper Tree, which is I don't know if you're familiar with the Juniper Tree, but there's I looked throughout all fairy tales to find a song because I needed a peasant singing a song. And the only song that is literally written into fairy tales that I could find is the song of the Juniper Tree. And it's about cannibalism. So I'm just like, okay, I was clearly meant to write this into Swaza. So Swaza will probably continue until at least issue 10-ish. That will cover the events of the first 2-hour play. And then, we'll see if Scout, if there's still the enthusiasm for the story, I would love to continue writing in this universe.
Well, you have me as a backer and a fangirl now. I'm just going to write them every day. But like, so you're back in the back 5, right? Okay. Yeah, we got this. You're going to carry it. Yeah. So
Absolutely.
I'm so excited for this. Like, it's really hard. I'm so burnt out on DC and Marvel. I love them. I just like right before our call, I finished Endgame because
Mhm.
I apparently I'm a masochist. But I was sitting there and I'm like, I hope I'm not puffy for this interview because that last bit of Endgame, you're crying like a baby. And I sat down and I started this and I was like looking at myself. I'm like, oh, okay, I'm not that puffy but I'm burnt out on them. Like, not burnt out, like I will still enjoy them. But I need a new story. I need more stories. And I think that's what is really exciting me about Scout Comics, because they have a lot of fresh stories. I met the author of Black Cotton, and I have all of those comics coming to me. I'm so super excited. They didn't have them, and I was like, I want them all. But I did a brief interview with him while at Mississippi Comic Con. He's adorable. And everybody like Scout is like, hey, you want to interview somebody? And I'm like, sure, you can be my Wednesday segment for Comic Box. And he's like, well, here's this person and this person and this person. And I'm like, let me get like the fangirl one out of the way first, and then I'll interview whoever you want me to. But awesome. They've given me access to their entire library of authors and artists. And I'm like, really? Okay. But I mean,
there's a lot of cool people who work for Scout. Several of them, by the way, have contributed variant covers, and I'm working on a new one. I don't know if you're familiar, but there's an homage cover being created, or an homage cover being created by another guy who works with Scout, Ralph Singh. And he is doing one that is based on Wendy Pinney's ElfQuest, which is...
I love ElfQuest.
Oh, that's excellent. ElfQuest is foundational for me, and I don't know if you noticed, but if you read the original script for issue 1, this first shot here, this forest is supposed to be based on the original Wolf Rider forest.
That's why it felt so familiar to me. Okay. I'm getting these. I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna go through this whole comic like after we're done, like, and this is about, because this feels really familiar to me. What's the pop culture reference, sir?
Yeah.
But I love that, because I mean, not only does it give you like an outlet to kind of like put your little bit of signature on it, but the people who are gonna know what the feeling and the vibe of the pop culture references, they're gonna run up to you to, if they meet you on the street, be like, oh, this was ElfQuest.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's whether people put 2 and 2 together or not, it makes for a really good story. And I feel it's like very important to pay homage to the works that have inspired you, because Swaza in a lot of ways is a distillation of all of these different things that make me. And my writing partner is Rogue of the Crew Shadows. I don't know if you've heard of that band, but if you haven't, you can check them out. Oh, okay.
Okay, hold on. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm a nerd. Like, no, I'm not just a nerd, I'm a geek. I spent so long being told that because I'm a girl, I'm not allowed to be geeky. So your girl went out. She's a Whovian. She likes steampunk bands. She likes rock and roll. Everything. I probably know the references. I may forget like names because I'm horrible with them, but I remember like a lot of geeky stuff. And I can't remember why I walked into the room or went to the fridge. So
yeah, well, it's me too. So Rogue and I, because this is the other place that people might know me from besides the theater, we have been collaborating on a fantasy novel set in the afterlife that begins when the main character dies, and we've read chapters of it at Dragon Con every year except for last year for obvious reasons, and probably this year as well, being that COVID is still raging. Rogue has this line in his song Valkyrie, which for those of you who are listening and don't know anything about the Crew Shadows, look them up. Look up Sophia. They beat out Madonna and Beyonce for the #1 dance hit in the world in 2005, and they're the greatest band that you haven't heard of if you haven't heard of them. But like he's got this line, and there's a fragment of me in the words I'm giving. A doorway is opened if you listen too long, and I really feel that is a great line just about art and about what art does and how it connects people. I didn't know you even existed before like you found my silly little comic book and interacted with it and found something true and real in it. And that's, as I said at the beginning of the interview, like that means so much to me, because essentially you have found something true and real and resonant in some of like the most deeply held and beloved aspects of my personality and who I am that I don't show to the rest of the world. So thank you.
Well, now everybody's going to know, because I'm not going to stop singing the praises of Snow White Zombie Apocalypse, because it really takes a lot for me to spend my money on something. I'm kind of cheap. I run a company, startup. And so it's really one of those things. I spend a lot of money on stuff for my company, for my kids, for, living day to day. So when I'm like, all right, I can spend like $6 on this comic.
Yeah.
It's my treat for myself. I'm gonna not get coffee. I'm not gonna get any, McDonald's on the way home. I got me a comic today, and that felt really good to actually want to buy a comic, because usually it's like, oh, I'll hear about it on some YouTube thing later on down the line. Whereas this, I was like, oh, nobody knows what this is. I will never hear about it. But now all the people who watch this will hear about Snow White and zombies and Disney and Crux Shadows and plays, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, it's really great. And yeah, definitely do. I've actually got 2 Crew Shadows posters on my back wall there.
I thought that's what they were, but there was like a little glare on. I'm like, I was gonna ask. I was like, are those from who I think they're from? Because we just talked about them. And like I like looked up and I was like, they look really familiar.
Yeah.
But no, I have had a great time. I am so excited to back this project. I know I'm going to make my team do it as well, so I can get all of their swag, or they can keep it for themselves. I'm not a tyrannical overlord. But so tell us a little bit more about the Kickstarter.
Yeah, the Kickstarter's been running. It's got 2 days left. We just closed on a stretch goal to create a second coin for Prince Charming. So there's going to be a smaller silver coin companion to this one with Prince Charming's own personal motto. I'm about to announce the next stretch goal, which is going to be probably a bookmark, like a double-sided bookmark for folks. And I'm going to make that one really nice and pull from some really interesting panels within Swaza to make it. Beyond that, once this Kickstarter closes, we're going to be releasing a Swaza trade, which covers the events of 1 to 4. And we will be releasing Swaza #5 by Adam Bryce Thomas. The other big project I have 2 new series that are being made right now. One is this is very different from Swaza, but it's a historical biopic about anarchist Buenaventura Durruti fighting fascists in Spain. It's called Durruti, Shadow of the People. This is set in the Spanish Civil War. I've got an incredible artist behind it. So that series is going to be launching. And then the next one after that is going to be, and I think you'll really like this one, it's called NPCs, Myth, Magic, and Retail, about the lives of non-player characters in role-playing games. And that one is being drawn by Kit Buss of Critical Role. She did the art for Critical Role Campaign 1. Yeah.
Okay. I'm a huge fan of Kit. So during quarantine, like the deep quarantine, I started the first season of Critical Role, and like I loved her art. So, oh my gosh,
She's got
fangirl some more.
Yeah, she has actually done one of the variant covers for issue 4 is her art. So she did her version of the Big Bad Wolf. You can see that on the Kickstarter, and she's a lovely person. Like
I've heard nothing but good things about Kit.
Mhm.
I know some other artists in the industry. I don't know if you know Derek Donovan, but I do know a few other people who have worked with her. And if I ever get to like talk to her and be like, so thanks for saving my quarantine. You in Critical Role, and you know, it, because I got the sad C word before any of my friends did, right at the beginning of quarantine. And I spent 2 months in isolation because nobody knew what was going on. Yeah. They didn't know whether or not like you would still be, you know, able to give it to people, or I saw my roommate through a crack in the door maybe once a day, and I stayed in her room for 2 months. It was totally fun. It was absolutely exciting.
Quarantine has been interesting. I've been able to avoid COVID so far, but and it's led to me having more time to work, which I'm happy about, and a lot of comics are coming out of that, which is great. But also, like, yeah, I'm really hoping that it's over and done with. It killed me to miss Dragon Con last year. And so the fact that we are now starting to open up, hopefully it will remain to be safe. I have to be very careful because my wife has a chronic condition and could be very dangerous for her to catch COVID. You know, other than that, I really want to get back and hit the con circuit. The other thing I'm doing, if folks do want to follow me, I'm at Brenton Lengel on Twitter. You can just Google my name, Brenton Lengel, to find me. I'm literally the only one in the world. And
I'm the only Ori Kimbler. We're special.
Beautiful. Yeah, we're special people.
Take that as you will.
Yeah, my website is still under construction, but brentonlengel.com. It's being redesigned at the moment, but that's up. And you can also find me on YouTube. Just again, search Brenton Lengel. You'll find my channel where I talk about politics, art, philosophy, and Buddhism. There's a thing that I just started doing now, which is a epic history D&D, where me and several other people are playing a game of Dungeons and Dragons 5e set in sort of a Doctor Who time traveling thing. So you get to see me play Buenaventura Durruti, pulled from the battlefield in Spain, along with Lord Byron, Nikolai Tesla, and Rasputin. And at the moment, we're running around in post-revolutionary France. And I think Durruti just machine gunned a line of Hussar, Hussar cavalry, and then blew them up with an IED. So,
you know, making friends the big way.
Yeah.
Well, I have had a fantastic time talking to you. I got to fangirl for a little bit. We got to know about you. We got to know about your work and everything that you have coming up. And I can't stress this enough, guys. Back the Kickstarter so he'll make more. Look at me right now in my eyes. Don't look at him. He's over there. At me. That sounds horrible. But look at me. I need more of this world. We're on the same page now. But I've had a great time, and I want to thank you so much for doing this. It means a lot to me, and thank you so much for being the first comic book that I buy. I don't think you understand that. I don't think you understand that. What it takes to make me spend money.
Oh, I gotcha. By the way, if you want to, you can, I think you mentioned something about playing the Kickstarter video.
Yes, we're going to play the Kickstarter after this.
Okay, great. Yeah, the Kickstarter, by the way, I mentioned the Cruise Shadows. The song in it is Of Angels from the Cruise Shadows Astro Mythology, which is an incredible album. I think it's one of the best of the past 20 years.
I noticed that. I was like, yeah, this music is awesome. Where can I get it? And like, I did the whole like sound thing where you can like find where the song came from. And I'm like, it is. So like, you were just, there's so much Cruise Shadows in your life.
Yeah. Rogue is an incredible person, and I started out as a fan, and then gradually became known through my writing and Rogue and, responding to my writing, because again, there's a fragment of me in the words I'm giving. And he's been just incredible to work with, and to, Cruise Shadows in general. It's one of the other things that just killed me about there not being a Dragon Con last year was just like, they're wonderful people. And they say you should never meet your idols, but meeting Rogue only made me like him more.
There's very few people that I've like fangirled about, and then I meet them and I'm like, oh my God, they're still amazing. Lynette Esklund, who did all the Velociraptor work for Jurassic Park and all the miniature work for Beetlejuice. I got to be her like handler for a convention. And now like she messaged me and she's like, are you okay? And I'm like, oh, yes. Yes. Oh, costume goddess of amazingness. But incredible. She's been amazing. I've met so many wonderful people, and then I've met some not so wonderful people, but we don't dwell on that. Yeah. Ever.
It's best to focus on the positive. But yeah, and if people do happen to encounter this video like after the Kickstarter has closed, you can still get the books. There will be a backer kit launching where you can get them through there. I may do something with Indiegogo. There's some talks about that. And there will be another one going, so you can follow me on Kickstarter and you'll be able to get stuff. Scout will be re-releasing Swaza as a continuing series starting early next year. So you'll be able to find it in the comic shop. So you can pay a little extra and back it on the Kickstarter now, or you can wait till it comes to your local comic shop.
And I may, before then, I may just be like, hey, local comic shop here in New Orleans, I need you to talk to my bro here and have his stuff in your shop, because I would like to make you lots of money now.
Excellent. Well, that'd be wonderful. Well, thank you very much. I will talk to you soon, and thank you for your enthusiasm for the series. Yeah, I will catch you very soon. All right.
All right, Geeky Vengeance. You're gonna say bye to him, but I'm gonna talk to him for a little while longer, because that's what fangirls do. So check out the Kickstarter, check out his Instagram, check out his website, check out the YouTube, check out the everything. Links will be in the things where you can go to do the things, because that's what you need. So
yeah, I have a link tree. I've got a link tree thing that has all of my social media on it.
I'm not gonna make it easy for you. Whatever. No, I'm kidding. We'll totally make it easy. You'll be able to find him. All right, bye guys.
Hey folks, Brenton Lengel here. I am the writer-creator of the Ringo Award-nominated comic series Snow White Zombie Apocalypse, published by Scout Comics and my own company, Autonomous Collective. For those of you who are new to the series, Swaza, to the cool kids, is the story of Snow White, who awakens to Prince Charming's kiss 28 days after the zombie apocalypse, only to find that the 7 dwarves are dead, her prince is polyamorous, and together they are locked in a vicious love triangle with his badass paramour Rapunzel. Bound by love and driven apart by jealousy, this unlikely trio must find a way to come together and survive before they are all hunted and killed by the ravenous, reanimated corpse of the big bad wolf. Snow White Zombie Apocalypse is a shocking, funny, and heartfelt tale of deep woods and old magic, filled to the brim with our signature blend of blood, sex, kung fu, and gender politics, making Swaza one of the funniest, hardest-hitting, and most heartfelt and thoughtful books on the market today. Our debut issue was named one of the top 50 indie comics of 2019 and was nominated for not one, but 2 2020 Ringo Awards alongside incredible creators like David Pepose, Stan Sakai, and Neil Gaiman. Issue number 2 and number 3 were funded last year and introduced our heroes to a new ally in the Woodsman, a lone hunter out for revenge against the horrifically dangerous Big Bad Alpha Wolf and his ferocious, bloodthirsty pack of once human wolf-zombie hybrids. The wolf pack drove our small band of survivors deeper and deeper into the woods, where they were forced to take shelter in a ramshackled cabin brimming with strange occult artifacts and constructed entirely of gingerbread. Once there, Snow White, Rapunzel, and Prince Charming made a shocking discovery. Not only had the woodsman put them all in danger for his own agenda, there was something else in that cabin, something that they would have to trap if they wanted to live through the night. And that brings us to Swaza number 4, and folks, I am so excited to get here. This is the first truly huge moment in the story that we have been building towards since the very first issue. Books number 1 to 4 constitute the first arc of the series, or, well, half the first arc, and things are going to get even cooler and crazier from here on out. But the fact is, none of this happens without you, so please, look down the page. We've got some incredible prints and variant covers by hard-hitting artists like Carl Moline from Dark Horse's Buffy the Vampire Slayer, Adam Bryce Thomas of IDW's Sonic the Hedgehog and Samurai Jack, and Kit Boos of Critical Role and Cloven Bloodlines. And folks, they have contributed some truly breathtaking work to the project, along with all the other artists who are putting in their time and effort. So take a second to look down the page. We've got a ton of super cool add-ons, including stickers, tarot cards, 2 full-color Swaza Reign of the Blood-Covered King Ashcan prequels, and we also have the official Snow White Zombie lapel pin. These feature the series' original logo from when it was a play, and even a gold coin from Prince Charming's kingdom. Is it magic? Probably. Try making a wish, and while you're at it, make sure to pledge and share so that we can bring Swaza number 4 back to life just in time to shamble to your house, tear down your door, and shatter your ribcage with Bruce Lee's 1-inch punch. Just, you know, in a good way. I don't know what you want from me. I write zombie comics. Please pledge and subscribe.